Hey there, Taylor Swift's boyfriend's quarterback, Patrick Mahomes here. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with everyone you know. Everyone is butthurt that we sat everyone against the Broncos last week to make sure the Bengals did not get into the playoffs. My Chiefs have a negative 7% chance to lose to any AFC team in this year's playoffs. Anyways, fly, Eagles, fly.
All right. Let's start predicting these playoff games here. Let's start predicting these playoff games here this weekend. This is pretty much what I thought the playoffs was going to be. 6 weeks heading into the season. So I think by like week 14, we already knew what the AFC looked like. Was going to look like. The Buccaneers, I think that people were picking them to win the NFC South. The Rams are like the surprise team here. And so are the Vikings. I don't think anybody had the Vikings coming this far at the beginning of the season. But that doesn't matter. Let's predict some playoff games. Let's start with the NFC. Eagles versus the Packers. I obviously going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles here because the Packers stand -3 chance to beat the Eagles, and here's why. They have a lot of injuries that they got in the last week of the season. Jordan Love got banged up. I think Watson is going to be out. And you're facing a fully healthy Eagles team at home in the link after the Eagles sat down Saquon Barkley and said, you cannot break Eric Dickerson's record so you don't hurt his feelings. Yeah, this could be pretty easy W. I don't see the Eagles struggling at all. I wouldn't even be surprised if this game's like 27-7 by the end of third quarter. That's how confident I am. There's not really much to talk about there. Buccaneers, Commanders. This one's a tough one. This is a rematch from week 1. These teams faced off in week 1, and we really didn't know what the Commanders were going to look like heading into the season. But the Commanders ended up their season 12-5, so they had a really good season. Buccaneers kind of sneaked in there. Had to win the last week of the season, of course, to get in. I think, though, that the Buccaneers, they seem like they're going to win this game. But, man, this is a really hard game to decide. The Buccaneers almost lost to the freaking Saints in a win-and-in scenario. While the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, a top 5 quarterback in the future. He probably might be a top 5 quarterback next year. This one's tough because both offenses are good, but Washington kind of is prone to choking. Man. I'm going to pick the Buccaneers because I just think the Buccaneers are just that they're just going to be better in the playoffs. Maybe I'm wrong. Their defense is kind of mid. You know what? I don't want no bad magic to happen to the Eagles, so let's pick the Commanders here. I think the Commanders got an upset in them to send the Buccaneers home, and honestly, it's going to make me feel better not having to face the Buccaneers in the playoffs. For any of you who know the history of the Buccaneers facing the Eagles in the playoffs, you know. Let's go to Vikings-Rams. This is a very interesting matchup. Of course, the Vikings are a wildcard team with 14 wins because the NFC North was stacked. Rams getting the division win after the first couple weeks of the season looking like they weren't going to get anywhere in the playoffs. They won their division, and now they're here. I believe that the Vikings are fraudulent, but I don't think they're fraudulent enough to lose to a Rams team in the first round. So I'm going to pick the Vikings to win against the Rams in wildcard weekend and pull a victory there. Next, we have the AFC side, where we got some interesting matchups. But let's start with the first hot take of the video. Yes, I'm doing it. The Denver Broncos are going to beat the Bills in the playoffs. They're going to pull the upset. They're going to go to Buffalo. I just have a feeling that this is how... It's a weird feeling, man. It's a weird feeling. But I just feel like the Broncos are going to be on some bullshit. And they're going to beat Josh Allen. They're going to beat Josh Allen. The Bills kind of look like frauds. They had great regular season. Josh Allen put up stats. But guess what? Those were against one of the weakest schedules in the NFL. Also, Josh Allen's facing arguably a top 3 defense in the NFL in the playoffs. Yeah, I'm picking them to win. However, if it starts snowing and there's freaking 4 feet of snow on the ground, then yeah. The Bills are obviously going to win that. But I got the Broncos with the upset over the Bills. Next up, we got the Ravens and the Steelers for the 3rd time this year. The Ravens are obviously at home, and I can't see Lamar Jackson losing this game. If this was in Heinz Field, yes, I'm still going to call it Heinz Field. If this was in Heinz Field, I can see the Steelers winning, but this is not. This is a Ravens home. Lamar Jackson is still building his MVP case, and he will continue building his MVP case here. The Ravens will get a victory. Chargers versus the Texans. Listen, the Texans might be one of the most disappointing teams of this season. They're top 5 most disappointing teams this season. I'm going to make a video in the offseason going over the top 5 most disappointing teams of the 2024-2025 season, and the Texans are definitely on that list. Which is why I'm going to pick the Chargers. The Chargers have a really good defense. They have an offense that can go. They have J.K. Dobbins, and the Texans shouldn't be in the playoffs, but they're part of the AFC South, who sent 2 teams into top 5 draft picks in this year's draft. So yes, Chargers will beat the Texans. I was going to pick whoever here. If it was the Steelers or the Broncos, they were going to win regardless. All right, divisional playoff time. This is pretty easy to me. The Detroit Lions aren't going to lose at home in the first round, the first game in the playoffs. That's not going to happen. So I'm going to pick them. And the Eagles aren't going to lose to a fraud-ass Minnesota Vikings team in the playoffs this year. So we're going to pick them. That's really, really easy. I don't even have to try for that. Next, I got the Chiefs and the Broncos. And this one's pretty easy as well. The Chiefs are going to beat the Broncos. Chiefs rested all their starters. They lost the game 38-0 just so they can beat the Broncos in Kansas City again in the playoffs when it matters. When Patrick Mahomes steps up his game, and so do the rest of the Chiefs players. Yeah, Chiefs will beat the Broncos. Chargers at the Ravens. This is a very interesting matchup because I can see this game going either way. These teams matched up early on the season. I think the Ravens, I think won. I forgot who won that game, but yeah, this will be a very interesting rematch. Man, who do I pick here? God, I'm gonna pick the Ravens. I'm gonna pick the Ravens to win, barely eking out a victory. I think this game is gonna be closer than people give it credit to. This is a Harbaugh rematch as well. The Harbaugh brothers going up against each other. I got the Ravens winning. And so, we have our AFC and NFC championship games. Let's go over to the AFC. I got the Kansas City Chiefs. This is pretty easy. I don't have to really say anything. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to win. The Kansas City Chiefs have been my picks to go to Super Bowl. Ever since week 15, I said no team in the AFC was good enough to beat the Chiefs. I'm going to stick to that. Now, Lions, Eagles, NFC Championship game. This game is very, very interesting. In the first video I uploaded on this channel talking about the NFL, I said, look, the winner of this game is going to be dependent on where it's played. If it's in Ford Field, it's going to be the Lions. If it's in Philly, it's going to be the Eagles. But that was before the entirety of the Lions defense decided to go to the hospital. Ever since that happened, I don't know, man. I just have a weird feeling that this ain't the same Lions. And with that being said, the Eagles here will get a victory over the Lions. Yes, the Eagles will get a victory over the Lions. The only reason is because the Lions defense is injured and in the infirmary. If this was a fully healthy Lions team, I don't think the Eagles would honestly stand a chance. But strictly because their defense is all injured and it's not that great, it can get exposed and will get exposed, I think the Eagles will win that game. It's going to be a really close game, and I wouldn't even be surprised if the Lions take like a 2-touchdown lead and the Eagles come back to win this game. So, Super Bowl 59, Chiefs, Eagles. Chiefs, Eagles in Super Bowl 59. Just like my video predicted, just like I said it would happen. And I'm not going to go against my predictions. I'm going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles to win Super Bowl 59. We have the best defense in the NFL. We have the best running back in the NFL. We have the best offensive line in the NFL. And the Chiefs Devil Magic will run out. This will complete the storybook ending that started 2 years ago when the Chiefs beat the Eagles on some bullshit. A face mask wasn't called on Jalen Hurts. That's resulted in a fumble 6. And Bradbury was holding Juju Smith-Schuster like a lover, basically, and got called for pass interference. That's the reason the Chiefs won that game. That's not going to happen this year. We have the best running back in Eagles history. We have the best running back in the NFL this time around. Oh, and the Sodfather can't help you this time around, Chiefs, because our legendary pass rush, which was honestly the only great part about that defense, now we have a complete defense. We have, I think, the best linebacker in the league right now in Zach Bond, who should get Defensive Player of the Year votes. Our secondary, that shit is elite now. And we still have a great pass rush in Jalen Carter, who will be a future Defensive Player of the Year. Honestly, Jalen Hurts just has to hand off the ball and throw the ball into places where A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith can catch it and let the defense do the rest. I think the final score of this game is going to be, I would say 21 to... let's say 21 to 13. 21 to 13 will be the final score of this game. It's not going to be a shootout like it was the first time around. I think it's going to be more defensive. I got the Eagles win the Super Bowl over the Kansas City Chiefs 21 to 13. And when it happens this year, come back to this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with everyone you know, and put it on your social media as well. Because I'm predicting the playoffs right here, right now. This is an exact, accurate representation of what's going to happen. I already spoiled the playoffs for you.